here, guys. You don't know me and Johnny are watching you while we're high.
Today's Loud House episode was requested by Leef Loud. Head Poets Anxiety. That kind of sounds like Dead Poets Society. This is like one of the best Loud House episodes I have ever encountered and watched by myself. It is the 15th episode of Season 3 of the Loud House, but it's overall the 116th episode. This episode was also going to originally air on April 20th, but it was pushed back to June 4th. Just a little heads up, this also had an accidental release, just like Future Tense. It was released on Amazon before it attended its release date. The episode was meant to air on April 30th, but was released on website 9 days earlier before April 21st. This was most likely to cause the episode's sister's episode, Teachers Union. When Amazon got a permission for this episode downloadable, it was likely Nickelodeon forgot to exclude this episode before giving Amazon the release rights. Don't believe me? Just go online and look this up. I'm kid you not. But you can do that some other time. Right now, let's look at this episode. So this episode begins with Luann taking up on her new entertainment gig on the Giggling Geezers, being such the entertainer on the bus, more like a comedian as I would put it as. And everybody loves her entertainment act. And she's hoping one day that she would be at the Royal Woods Theater, but only to find her droopy sister Lucy is standing on the dare steps. She was all depressed because her best poem was being rejected. And Luann decides to help give some advice to her and show all her rejection letters. Everything usually always starts out rough in the very beginning, even for Luann. I mean, everybody starts that way out when they start something new, when they want to do something for the world. Wow, does Luann look cute, even as a kid. Charles, you little So Luann went to some kind of clowning academy that she graduated from, and she started her own business, funny business to be precise, and became a successful comedian. You know, there are some things I like about Luann Loud, because not only is she the funniest girl, she reminds me a bit so much of my favorite idol, Robin Williams. And I think Luann is just like that, but she's a female version of it, if you think about it that way. I mean, I think Robin Williams had the same backstory as this one, but completely different. And he is still the best comedian from this day. Rest in peace, my favorite idol.
No matter what anybody says, you'll always be a prince to me.
Lucy starts to feel better about Luann's story, and she kind of asks her if she can get help from her, and Luann so agrees to be her mentor. Wow, I didn't think this was actually going to happen. Luann willing to help Lucy. You know, normally in every episode, much all the siblings have walked over Lincoln and Lucy so much and treat them like crap. But here, it's a whole new different level how Luann is actually helping Lucy. It's like funny with gloomy, comedy and horror, lamb and tuna.
What the fuck?
No wait, that didn't sound right. Maybe Skinny Meatball? So Luann decides to help Lucy on how to become better with her poetry, making her skills so much better at home before actually going and sharing it with the world. And doing so in the next phase, she has to come up with some words that actually rhyme. Like, say, rose, for instance. And she came up with the word decompose. Real nice. You know, can anybody figure out a word that actually rhymes with pluck? Let's see. Buck, cluck, duck.
Good night, everybody.
Sorry.
Next phase, she has to showcase some of her work. By the way, you see this pregnant goth girl? She actually says the word embrace the darkness. That quote was actually seen in Lucy's poster in The Loudest Yard. Last but not least, Lucy has to have so much of a thick skin to actually tell her poems to her siblings.
Melancholy night before a hopeless dawn. The sun is rising soon, but all my joy is gone.
I think a little bit more music that would go better with that other than the bongo drums. Nah, that music's a little too dark. I got it, let's try this one.
I don't think so. It sounds familiar, doesn't it to you?
I got it. How about... You know, that might actually work. I don't know. It's a poem. It deserves a little bit dark tone to go with it. And much of them ain't so much happy about it. Except Lenny. And oh boy, Lola has given her the meanest kind of speech I have ever heard from this girl.
That poem is terrible. I've been more moved by Lynn's farts. Smell weird, your hair is wrong, and I would not recommend you to my friends.
But Lucy combats at her with one poem that actually jabs her straight in the back.
Mean little blonde, you throw stones and sticks. But what would you know? You're only 6.
Abracadabra. Eat shit.
And the next day, Luann invites Lucy onto the Giggling Geezers. And Lucy decides to give the poem out to her Pop Pop. Oh my gosh, that name I cannot get out of my head. Pop Pop. Okay, that's enough laughs for me. As soon as they arrive home, Lucy actually thanks Luann for being such a great mentor. This is starting to get somewhere, and I'm actually liking this episode.
Honey, Lucy's smiling. Get the camera.
Hasn't Lucy always smiled before? Just to let y'all know, there are times that Lucy actually has smiled before in several episodes before this.
Ooh, that smile.
Next day, Luann's doing her comedy routine on the Giggling Geezers bus. By the way, who's driving this Giggling Geezer bus? It feels like there's no driver here. The bus must be possessed. And one of the elders loses his teeth from laughing so much hard enough. Therefore, they have to go stop and find and look for them. Lucy shows up on a scooter, all sweaty and much tired out, and tells that her poetry teacher loved the poem so much that allows her to get into Royal Woods Theater.
You don't say!
Uh-oh, I can see where this is going. That's probably the most scariest face I've ever seen on Luann. But I'm going to point out something a little more funny to me about what I like about this. That face routine acting that she's putting on, it's something called secondary action. It's funny, but let me show you a clip of what I'm talking about.
It would give me great pleasure if you would join me for dinner.
Now, the Beast here, he's doing secondary action, and I'm going to explain why. First, he's being polite as he is trying to keep his calm, when he goes, it would give me great pleasure. But look on his back when his hair rises up, and listen to the tone of his voice as soon as he goes, if you would join me for dinner. There, he's trying to keep his cool and not be pissed off at the same time.
It would give me great pleasure if you would join me.
Which is why it's so funny, because he's getting irritated while he's trying to be a polite person. And secondary action is one of the 12 principles of animation, is what I believe there is. Luann here is trying to maintain her calm and just be happy for her without trying to be angry at the same time or strangle her out of jealousy. This is almost the first time I've ever seen Luann do this kind of face and how feeling jealousy of Lucy. Just wow. But later on the same day and throughout much of the night, Lucy tries to act so much advice for Luann, but Luann doesn't want to help her anymore and just does her questions a little indifferently. Next morning, Luann's getting herself ready for Lucy's show. And is it just me, or does Luann look kind of like Belle from Beauty and the Beast? But none of her sisters and her brother aren't even getting ready. Despite this, Lucy's pretending to be sick.
That was weak.
Silence!
Do continue.
And she decides to skip out on her performance despite that Lincoln actually told her about Luann's dream becoming the youngest person at the Royal Wood Theaters. Luann's starting to feel bad for Lucy, and her jealousy just got in the way. And with that being said, she wouldn't be such a great mentor if she wasn't allowed to let Lucy miss the opportunity on doing this. I mean, it was both their dreams. Lucy kind of deserves it more than Luann. She decides to give it in.
Honey, Lucy's hugging someone. Get the camera.
That was the sweetest thing I ever seen those two do. Later on at the Royal Wood Theaters, everybody's there gathering around, and Lucy is on stage giving her best poem to dedicate a certain sister, the mentor, a real funny sister of her own.
Dreams burned to ash, hope tangled like laces, till love swept in with puns and funny faces. Where my path will lead, I can't be sure, but if ever I'm lost, I'll look up to her.
That was real beautiful. Such a good episode. What a real heartfelt episode this was. I just really love it. It just shows the relationship between Luann and Lucy throughout the whole entire episode. For Luann being such a great mentor to her Lucy, helping her manage all the ups and downs in her life about arts. I mean, it happens to everybody. Everybody has their up and down moments. Myself, when I started doing the reviews of The Loud House, I was quite getting a few downsides on me. But as soon as when I kept continuing, I started getting more likes than possible. My point is, always keep on trying and don't ever give up on it. Doug Walker had the same thing. I'll bet Animat had the same thing. Same with the Zalja chick. And anybody else who's such a critic on YouTube. By the way, this was the first episode where Andre Robinson voiced Clyde. Khalid Harris, who originally voiced Clyde, he managed to voice him through 3 seasons from season 1 to season 3 until he hit puberty. His last one he ever did was an episode called Teachers Union. Wow, this kid managed to last longer than any other kid from Graham Palmer to Colin Dean. Sweet mother of God. Why couldn't any of those guys last longer than this kid did? And strangely enough, that Rita, Lori, Lana, and Lily had no lines in the episode at all. Yeah, I kid you not, watch the episode again and you won't hear any of them talk. Surprisingly, when I looked back at this episode, I'm really shocked to actually find out that Chris Savannah is directing with Kyle Marshall on this episode. I'm really happy to actually see that he actually is in this one. I don't know, maybe, because there still might be a few episodes that Chris Savannah directed and co-produced just before he was fired over this stuff for something really stupid that some people got upset with him about. There ain't no goddamn reason how they had to fire him just like that. Speaking of, I gotta figure out what did he get fired for. So Head Poet's Anxiety is one of the best episodes of The Loud House I can actually guarantee to look at. Now, that's not saying it's like 100% best. That's actually me saying, like, this had some really good moments. The relationship between Luann and Lucy is just embracing. It's just great. Just really great how one sister is helping another one out. Like comedy and horror together. Which sounds like my brother and myself that way. My brother loves comedy movies. I just love horror movies myself. And I just love seeing these two together. I mean, when's the next time you guys are going to get an episode that's going to have Luann and Lucy together having a nice conversation with each other? I mean, Lucy, on the end, she actually conversates with either Lori, Lynn, or even Lincoln for much of her life. But her communicating with Luann, the funny girl of the Loud House family, this was really a nice turn that these people in the studio gave. Even times for myself, I could dress up like a male version of Luann and still name myself Larry Houdini. Her being such a mentor to Lucy, that's really a nice thing that she does. It's a really nice story to give. It's what made me actually do the same for everybody who I work with when I'm at work. I guess some people can actually still watch this episode, or at least they can show this episode to somebody and let them try something a little different. Or find something better to do in their life. Her much best performance from Christina, who voices Luann. By the way, want to know something really funny about Christina? Other than her voicing Luann Loud in The Loud House, she also does a few other voice characters in cartoon shows, such as told by Ginger, she voiced Vanessa in an episode called Heat Lightning. She was the voice of Catwoman and Mrs. Martian from DC Supergirls. In an episode called Be Cool Scooby-Doo, she voiced Amy in an episode called Vote Velma. She was in Scooby-Doo Stage Fright. She was in an episode All Broke Up in Rugrats All Grown Up. And one of the best moments I ever caught her attention, she's in one of my favorite video games of all time. I played on the PS2, Psychronauts, as Elton Fryer. Don't believe me?
Hey, Elton, have you heard anything else about that thing in the lake?
Huh? Oh, not really. The fish are kind of going crazy about Bobby and Benny over there torturing anything that swims too close. Oh, somebody should do something.
Holy smokes, I was actually shocked to find out myself about her being a voice in that video game as well, too. Once more about Christina, her favorite episodes are Undie Pressers and Funny Business, which those episodes I'll get to in the future if somebody decides to request them too soon. Oh no, I will give this 9 out of 10 stars. I am the Loud House Critic, and dude, I really need to find myself a catchphrase.